Something is shifting. The air feels heavier, charged with an energy that wasn't there before. Time itself seems different, stretching, contracting, folding in on itself, and deep inside, a knowing stirs. It's as if the entire universe has been holding its breath, waiting for this very moment. The moment everything changes. For 6,000 years, a shadow has loomed over humanity, a force unseen yet deeply felt. It has shaped history, molded minds, and dictated the rhythm of life itself. Most never questioned it. They walked the paths laid before them, unaware that they were following a script written long before they were born. But today, that script burns. The cycle ends. The karmic debts of ages are being wiped clean. At first, the shift is almost imperceptible, a subtle tremor in the foundation of reality. But soon, the cracks begin to widen. The illusions, carefully woven over millennia, start to fray at the edges. Truth, long buried, begins to rise like a tide that cannot be stopped. And with it comes a reckoning. For those who have ruled from the shadows, it is the moment they have feared. For those who have felt the weight of unseen chains, it is the moment they have awaited. A reset unlike anything before, one that cannot be undone, cannot be reversed. The very fabric of existence is rearranging itself, untangling the knots of old karma, severing the ties that have bound humanity to a cycle of suffering. And yet, even now, most do not see it. They continue as they always have, blind to the shift beneath their feet. But there are those who feel it, those who have always sensed that something was off, something was missing. They are waking up, realizing that the world they knew was never what it seemed. The dark age is ending. The great unraveling has begun. But where this path leads, that remains to be seen. Because once the past is wiped away, only one question remains. What comes next? The 6,000-year dark age, a cycle of entrapment, ends. For thousands of years, humanity has existed within an invisible cage, a system so intricately designed that most never even realized they were trapped. This was not a natural cycle of growth, but a carefully constructed illusion, one that ensured people remained blind to their true potential. The rulers of this dark age, those who understood the deeper mysteries of the universe, wielded their knowledge not to enlighten, but to control. By keeping the masses in a state of ignorance, they maintained power, using deception as their greatest weapon. Every institution, every structure that governed human life was built upon this foundation of secrecy. Truth was buried beneath layers of false narratives, rewritten histories, and fabricated belief systems that served only to reinforce control. For centuries, fear was the tool that kept the illusion intact. Wars were not just battles over land or resources, but mechanisms of control, ensuring that humanity remained fractured and distracted. Governments ruled not through wisdom, but through fear-based policies, always keeping the people in a state of uncertainty. The creation of artificial divisions between nations, between races, between belief systems, was essential for this control to persist. If people were constantly at odds with one another, they would never turn their gaze toward those who truly held the power. Conflict was never the byproduct of human nature, but rather the carefully orchestrated consequence of an age built on deception. Perhaps the greatest theft of all was the removal of sacred knowledge. Long ago, humanity understood the nature of existence, the interconnectedness of all things, and the boundless potential of the human soul. This wisdom was not just spiritual, it was practical. woven into daily life. People knew how to harness energy, how to communicate beyond words, how to shape reality through thought. But as this dark age took hold, this knowledge was systematically erased, hidden away in secret societies, locked behind symbols and cryptic texts, out of reach for the common soul. What could not be erased was ridiculed, turned into myth and superstition, so that even those who sensed the deeper truths would doubt their own knowing. The world was plunged into spiritual amnesia, a state where people lived but did not truly see, where they existed but did not truly know why. Now, however, something is shifting. The weight of this ancient control is beginning to crack under its own pressure. The illusions that once held firm are unraveling, revealing glimpses of a reality that was always there, just hidden beneath the surface. More and more people are awakening, questioning the structures that once seemed unshakable. The cosmic clock has struck, signaling the end of an era that has lasted far too long. What was concealed is being revealed, and the forces that thrived in darkness are now struggling to keep their grip. A cycle is breaking apart, and with it, the world as we have known it is beginning to transform. The question is no longer whether this shift will happen. It is happening. The real question is who will be ready to embrace the light after so many years in darkness. The crumbling of the old paradigm. For centuries, the world has been shaped by institutions that claim to provide stability, security, and order. These systems presented themselves as the foundation of civilization, convincing people that without them, society would collapse into chaos. But beneath the surface, they were never built to serve humanity. They were designed to serve themselves. Governments operated under the illusion of democracy, while decisions were made behind closed doors. Corporations disguised their greed as progress, extracting resources not just from the earth, but from the very energy of the people. The media, once thought to be the voice of truth, became the most powerful tool of manipulation, shaping reality not as it was, but as those in control wanted it to be. Now, the cracks in these systems are becoming undeniable. What once seemed indestructible is now beginning to crumble, exposing the rot that was always there. A growing wave of disillusionment is sweeping across the planet. People are no longer blindly accepting what they are told. They see the inconsistencies, the contradictions, the blatant deception. Governments that once held unwavering authority are now met with skepticism, as their decisions reveal agendas that serve only the powerful. Corporations, once trusted for innovation and advancement, are being exposed for their exploitation and control. The media, which for so long dictated what people should think and believe, is losing its grip as individuals begin seeking truth for themselves. The old paradigm is collapsing, not because of external destruction, but because it can no longer sustain itself under the weight of its own lies. For too long, humanity has been trapped within false timelines, constructed realities that dictated what was possible, what was acceptable, and what was true. These timelines were carefully crafted to keep people locked in cycles of limitation. They dictated the rules of life, telling people who they could be, what they should strive for, and what was beyond their reach. But these false realities are beginning to break down. The energy that once reinforced them is fading, and people are waking up to the realization that they have been living inside an illusion. Time itself feels different, as if the script that once dictated the unfolding of events is now unwritten, allowing space for something new to emerge. The old world was powered by lower vibrations: fear, division, greed, and control. This was the energy that kept the system alive, feeding it like fuel to a machine. As long as people remained in fear, the system thrived. As long as they fought among themselves, they remained distracted. But that energy is no longer as abundant as it once was. The collective frequency is shifting, and the system that once relied on dense, heavy vibrations is now starving. Without the energy of control, the structures that once seemed so powerful are beginning to fall apart. Now, the world stands at a crossroads. Some are desperately clinging to what is familiar, afraid of the uncertainty that lies ahead. They refuse to see the collapse for what it truly is: the breaking of chains that have held humanity captive for thousands of years. They long for the stability of the old world, unaware that it was built on deception. Others, however, feel the call of the unknown. They sense that something greater is unfolding, even if they cannot fully understand it yet. They are stepping into a reality that has not yet been written, a new existence that is still taking shape. The divide is becoming clearer. The choice is no longer between old and new, but between stagnation and transformation. The karmic reckoning, the universe, restores balance. For millennia, the energy of cause and effect has been quietly accumulating, waiting for the moment when it would come full circle. Now, that moment has arrived. Every action, every intention, every decision made in the past is returning with undeniable force. This is the Great Reckoning, the universal balancing act, where everything that was set in motion must now be faced. There is no escape, no more delays, and no more hiding behind illusions. The weight of accumulated karma has reached its tipping point, and its presence is undeniable in every corner of the world. Some will experience it as a storm, a sudden and overwhelming force sweeping through their lives, while others will find themselves uplifted, finally receiving the energy they once put into the world. The ones who spent their lives manipulating, deceiving, and controlling others are now facing the very forces they once wielded. For ages, they believed themselves untouchable, protected by layers of influence, wealth, and secrecy. They operated in the shadows, pulling the strings of entire civilizations, believing they were immune to consequence. But no structure, no power, no deception is strong enough to withstand the return of its own energy. The universe does not forget, and the debts that were created in the past must now be paid. These forces are not being punished by an external hand, but by the very nature of what they set into motion. The deception they spread is now unraveling their own existence. The fear they created is consuming them, and the control they exercised is slipping from their grasp. At the same time, those who lived with integrity, those who chose truth, even when it was difficult, are beginning to feel the shift in their favor. The storms that once raged against them are clearing, revealing a path they always knew existed, but could never fully reach. The struggles, the betrayals, the burdens they carried were not in vain. They were laying the foundation for this moment, preparing for the time when the weight of the past would finally lift. The ones who walked through darkness without losing their light are now finding themselves rising, as the energy they invested in honesty, kindness, and resilience returns to them in ways they never expected. This reckoning is not only happening on a global scale, but within individuals as well. Every person is being confronted with their own unresolved karma, often in sudden and intense ways. Old wounds, long-buried truths, and past choices are resurfacing, demanding to be acknowledged. There is no more space to suppress or ignore these energies. What was left unfinished must now be faced. Some will struggle against this process, resisting the lessons they are meant to learn, while others will surrender to it, understanding that this cleansing is necessary for their own transformation. The past is no longer something that can be left behind. It is here, now, woven into the present, requiring every soul to take responsibility for the energy they have contributed to the world. This reset is not about punishment. The universe does not operate on vengeance. It operates on balance. This is the great restoration, a moment where all timelines are brought back into alignment. It is not about rewarding the righteous and condemning the wicked. It is about ensuring that every action meets its rightful conclusion. Justice is not about human laws or moral codes. It is about energetic equilibrium. What was taken must be returned. What was broken must be mended. What was hidden must be revealed. This is the final clearing, the moment when the scales that have been tilted for so long finally begin to level, ensuring that every soul, every nation, and every force in existence stands in the truth of what they have created. The awakening of forgotten powers. Something powerful is stirring within humanity. As the old system weakens, something long suppressed is rising to the surface, an ancient knowing, a connection to forces once thought lost. The rigid structures that dictated what was possible are dissolving, revealing a reality far more fluid and expansive than anyone was taught to believe. The mind, once bound by conditioned limitations, is beginning to stretch beyond the walls of imposed perception. Intuition is sharpening. Dreams are becoming more vivid, and the invisible threads connecting all things are becoming clearer. What was once dismissed as mere coincidence is now recognized as synchronicity, a signpost guiding those who are ready to see. The unseen realms are no longer silent. They are whispering, calling, urging humanity to remember what it truly is. With every passing day, more people are experiencing moments of inexplicable clarity, sudden flashes of insight, an inner voice growing stronger, a feeling of knowing without knowing how. The mind is no longer operating in isolation. It is reconnecting to something greater. These abilities were never gone, only buried beneath layers of distraction and distortion. Now, the shift is making it impossible to ignore. Those who have spent their lives feeling disconnected are now sensing something beyond the physical, a presence they cannot fully explain, but deeply recognize. It is the reawakening of a lost awareness, a remembering of what was once second nature. The world is not merely what is seen with the eyes. It is interwoven with energies, messages, and patterns waiting to be understood. Deep within the human blueprint, something is activating. The body itself is responding to the change in frequency, as if a dormant program is coming online. This is not evolution in the traditional sense. It is a return to what was always meant to be. The ancient ones knew of these abilities, spoke of them, cultivated them, but over time they were suppressed, dismissed as myth, superstition, or imagination. But now the signals are breaking through, and people are feeling it within themselves. Strange sensations, waves of energy, spontaneous downloads of information. This is the activation of dormant codes, the unlocking of higher consciousness. The world itself is vibrating at a new frequency, and those attuned to it are feeling the shift deep within their being. The process of manifestation is accelerating. What once took years to bring into form is now unfolding in weeks, days, even hours. Reality is becoming more fluid, more responsive, mirroring the inner state of those who engage with it. The barriers between thought and creation are thinning, and the power to shape reality is becoming undeniable. Those who focus on fear and chaos are finding more of it appearing in their lives, while those who align with growth and clarity are experiencing rapid transformations. It is no longer about working within the old systems. It is about realizing that reality itself is shifting to accommodate new levels of awareness. But this awakening is not automatic. It is a choice. The energies are present. The activations are happening, but not everyone will step into them. Some will cling to the familiar, resisting the call of their own expansion. They will dismiss the signs, ignore the synchronicities, and remain bound to the past, even as the world changes around them. But others will embrace it, stepping into their full potential, reclaiming the gifts that have always been theirs. This is the moment of decision, the point where every individual must choose whether to remain in the old reality or awaken to the vastness of what is truly possible. The diverging timelines. A split in reality. Reality is no longer a singular path. It is splitting, dividing into two distinct experiences that exist side by side, yet feel worlds apart. The karmic reset has set this into motion, and now every individual is being drawn toward one of these two timelines. One remains rooted in the old world, where fear, control, and struggle persist. The other is stepping into an entirely new way of being, where clarity, alignment, and ease become the foundation of existence. The days of collective movement are over. This is no longer a transition happening at the level of nations or societies. It is happening on an individual level. Each person is now being presented with a choice, whether they realize it or not. The energy they embody, the beliefs they hold, and the actions they take are determining which path unfolds before them. For those who resist the shift, the weight of the old world is becoming heavier. Fear is intensifying, confusion is growing, and everything that once felt stable is beginning to crumble. These individuals are clinging to what was, desperately trying to hold on to the familiar, even as it slips through their fingers. The systems they trusted, the structures they relied upon, are failing them. Yet instead of releasing them, they tighten their grip, refusing to see that a new way is emerging. The struggle becomes overwhelming, not because they are being punished, but because they are refusing to flow with the changing current. The harder they resist, the more turbulent their reality becomes. It is as if they are standing in a collapsing house, refusing to walk out the open door into a new, solid foundation. On the other side, those who surrender to the shift are stepping into a different reality entirely. Instead of resistance, they find flow. Instead of confusion, they experience clarity. The energy around them moves differently. Synchronicities appear effortlessly. The right opportunities unfold, and life begins to feel more like a dance than a battle. It is not that they are exempt from challenges, but their struggles are met with understanding rather than fear. They are no longer fighting against the tide. They are moving with it. This is the new world being born. Not a distant utopia, but a shift in perception, an internal alignment that transforms how reality responds. The more they trust this process, the more the old world fades from their experience. The split is becoming undeniable. People who once felt deeply connected are drifting apart, not because of conflict, but because they are no longer vibrating at the same frequency. Relationships are dissolving, friendships are shifting, and entirely new communities are forming, drawn together by shared resonance. Those who were once surrounded by misunderstanding are now finding themselves in the presence of those who see them clearly. The connections that remain are being reshaped, purified, strengthened by the new energetic foundation. It is not just individuals changing, it is the fabric of reality itself rearranging to reflect these shifts. But there is no collective path forward, only individual choices. No government, religion, or movement can dictate which timeline someone follows. It is not about external belief systems or group decisions. It is about the internal alignment of each soul. Every person must make this choice for themselves, whether consciously or unconsciously. Will they remain attached to the crumbling structures of the past, or will they surrender to the unknown and embrace the emerging reality? The divergence is happening now, and the time for hesitation is slipping away. Earth's energy grid, a cosmic reconnection. Earth is not just a passive observer in this great shift, it is an active participant, undergoing its own transformation in alignment with the cosmic reset. The planet, long bound by the heavy energies of the old paradigm, is reawakening, restoring its original energetic structure. It is as if an ancient song, once silenced, is beginning to play again, vibrating through the land, water, and sky. This shift is not just a spiritual or metaphysical concept, it is being felt in the very fabric of nature itself. Strange weather patterns, shifts in magnetic fields, and unexplained phenomena are all signs of Earth's changing frequency. What once felt stable is now in motion, not as destruction, but as recalibration. The planet is aligning itself with a higher resonance, shaking off the stagnant energies that have weighed it down for millennia. Beneath the surface, something powerful is stirring. The Earth has an energy grid, an intricate network of ley lines that connect to sacred sites and natural power centers. These lines were known to ancient civilizations, who built temples, pyramids, and monuments upon them, harnessing their energy for wisdom, healing, and communication with the cosmos. Over time, many of these energy lines were severed, blocked, or distorted, cutting humanity off from the deeper connection between the Earth and the universe. But now, those ancient pathways are being restored. The dormant power spots, long asleep beneath layers of suppression, are coming back to life. People are feeling it, even if they do not understand it. A deep, almost primal calling is pulling them toward certain places: mountains, deserts, forests, and ancient ruins. These locations are not random. They are activation points, where Earth's energy is surging, awakening those who are ready to receive it. As the planetary frequency rises, the resonance of the Earth itself is shifting. Scientists have already observed unexplained fluctuations in the Schumann resonance, the electromagnetic pulse of the planet, often referred to as the heartbeat of Earth. These changes are more than mere anomalies. They are evidence of the planet's recalibration. This energetic realignment is also affecting the human body and mind, triggering heightened states of awareness, spontaneous emotional releases, and even physical sensations like dizziness, ringing in the ears, or bursts of energy. For those attuned to the shift, these experiences feel like waves of clarity, moments of deep connection, and an overwhelming sense of something profound unfolding beneath the surface of reality. But this transformation also means that the Earth will no longer sustain the dense, stagnant energies that have dominated for thousands of years. The old system thrived on lower vibrations, fear, control, and division. These energies once had a place here, feeding off the suppressed consciousness of humanity. But that era is ending. Just as certain frequencies cannot exist in a rising vibration, those who refuse to shift will find it harder to function within this new earth. The environment itself is changing to support a different way of living, one that aligns with harmony, expansion, and interconnectedness. What was once hidden is emerging. What was once blocked is flowing. And what was once dark is being illuminated. The planet is not simply changing. It is remembering, and as it does, so too must those who walk upon it. The disintegration of the ego-based self. For thousands of years, people have shaped their identities based on the external world, social status, material wealth, power, and recognition. The ego thrived in this old system, feeding off separation, competition, and control. But now, as the karmic reset unfolds, the very foundation of the ego-based self is crumbling. The identities people once clung to are no longer sustainable. Who they believed they were, based on roles, labels, and attachments, is dissolving, leaving many feeling lost, disoriented, or even panicked. This disintegration is not just happening on a psychological level, it is deeply spiritual. The false self, built upon illusions and conditioned beliefs, can no longer exist in the rising frequency of truth. This shift is triggering deep emotional responses as unresolved wounds and suppressed traumas are forced to the surface. The distractions that once kept these wounds buried are fading, leaving people face to face with emotions they avoided for years. Grief, fear, resentment, and unhealed pain. Many are experiencing sudden mood swings, intense dreams, and unexplained anxiety. This is not a breakdown. It is a breakthrough. The old layers are peeling away, revealing what was always there, but hidden beneath the ego's mask. The soul is demanding to be seen, but to step into authenticity, all that is false must first collapse. The body is also reacting to this energetic shift. Many are experiencing exhaustion, body aches, dizziness, or ringing in the ears. Some feel a strange pressure in the head or heart palpitations that have no medical explanation. This is because the frequency of the body is recalibrating to match the new Earth's vibration. The nervous system, long conditioned to operate in a state of stress and fear, is being rewired. The energetic pathways in the body, which were blocked by emotional and mental conditioning, are opening up, allowing a new flow of life force energy. This can be uncomfortable, even overwhelming, but it is part of the process of transformation. The body, mind, and spirit are undergoing an upgrade, and resistance only makes it harder. The ego, sensing its own dissolution, is desperately trying to hold on. It creates doubt, fear, and the illusion of control to keep people from surrendering to the transformation. It tells them they must cling to their old identity, that they are nothing without their titles, their achievements, or the validation of others. But this is a deception. The true self is emerging from beneath the rubble of the ego's illusions. It is expansive, limitless, and deeply connected to the universe. Those who allow this shift to unfold naturally will find a profound sense of inner peace and clarity. They will no longer be bound by external expectations or the need to prove themselves. Instead, they will move with the flow of life, trusting in the unseen forces guiding them. However, those who resist this process will find themselves in a state of inner turmoil. The more they fight to hold on to their old identity, the more suffering they will experience. The ego was never meant to be the master. It was only ever a tool. And now, as the karmic reset takes place, the choice is clear. Cling to what is crumbling, or step into the unknown and discover who they were always meant to be. The arrival of the karmic reset, a new foundation emerges. The old world is vanishing. But this is not merely an ending. It is the birth of something entirely new, something beyond anything humanity has ever known. The karmic reset is not just a shift in perception. It is a complete restructuring of reality itself. For thousands of years, existence has been shaped by karmic cycles, where actions from the past dictated the present and future. Pain, struggle, and lessons were repeated across lifetimes, creating a never-ending loop of cause and effect. But now, for the first time in recorded history, the cycle is breaking. The reset is not just clearing old debts, it is erasing the very foundation that made them necessary. The weight of accumulated karma, which once bound souls to the limitations of the past, is lifting, making way for a reality built on pure creation rather than correction. This new blueprint is unlike anything the world has ever seen. In the old paradigm, experiences were shaped by karma, by debts to be repaid, lessons to be learned, and wounds to be healed. Every action carried the weight of past lifetimes, and every step forward was met with the echoes of unfinished business. But the reset is rewriting the very fabric of existence. Instead of operating within the limits of karma, the new reality functions on alignment and intention. It is not about paying for the past. It is about stepping fully into the present, free from the chains of history. In this new foundation, manifestation is instantaneous, unhindered by karmic baggage. Those who enter this space will no longer be bound by cycles of suffering, nor will they be subjected to the control systems that once dictated their choices. Only those who have done the inner work, who have faced and cleared their unresolved karma, will be able to step into this new state of being. This is not a reward, nor is it an exclusion. It is simply the natural order of energy. Those who still carry the weight of their past will remain within the old structures until they, too, have released it. The new world is not something that can be forced upon anyone. It is something that must be earned through deep self-awareness and surrender. Souls who have transcended the old patterns will find themselves naturally shifting into a reality where ease replaces struggle, clarity replaces confusion, and creation replaces repetition. Their existence will no longer be dictated by external forces, but by the purity of their own intention. For the first time in history, a future without suffering is within reach. The cycles of control, deception, and forced hardship are dissolving, but this new reality is not automatic. It must be consciously chosen. Many will resist, unable to release their attachments to the past, but the choice will not remain open indefinitely. The final moment of decision is approaching. The karmic reset is here, and each soul must decide: will they rise into the new, or remain anchored to what is falling apart? The door to the next reality is open, but it will not stay open forever.